right. Welcome, my beautiful people, to the final live broadcast for 2024. Um, Today, what I want to do is I want to do a recap of our year as a company. I want to give you some news that is very important for you if you're going to travel in 2025, specifically international. There's some news coming for that. I'm going to give you some airfare alerts. We're also going to talk about some hot destinations. I've been talking about this in the past as it relates to spreading. The industry calls it tourism distribution, right? I just say visit new places, right? The, the big issue, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit, is over tourism in places like Paris, Madrid, Barcelona, New York City, right? Um, and it's become an issue, and people are trying to address it. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about luxury travel. We're going to talk about some of the goals that we as a company have in 2025. And let's begin. And I want to begin by talking about 2024. And the way I like to think about 2024 is this way: it's like a guest checking into one of my properties with one suitcase and then leaving with two because they took all the linen sheets, right? It really has been a little bit of a chaotic year. We just had our holiday party, and in the holiday party, um, we discussed the following. But let me just give you a quick recap about my company and how we got started, etc., because it leads into 2024. So in our holiday party, we recapped. I created this company in 2016. Now I've been doing real estate investing and short-term rentals that I used to call seasonal rentals prior to that. But in 2016, I really decided to go full time and put all my efforts in building the company we currently have. Now, if you follow the channel, you heard me say this before. I said this multiple times. For my first 2 years in business, I made zero money. In fact, I lost money. But in 2018 was the year in which I started to see growth, an exponential growth. So from 2018 to 2023, year over year, we actually doubled our revenue. Literally every year we doubled it, right? Now, that was in 2023. 2024 was definitely a complete different beast. It was the first year in which we saw no growth. Growth in terms of the core business, right? I've talked about this before about going vertical. My core business is real estate investing and the management of short-term rentals, right? So that core business in 2024 didn't grow. Um, we grew by maybe 1%. Now I'm going to show you some numbers. The numbers are going to seem like we did grow substantially, but in fact, it really wasn't that big of a growth because I didn't start tracking these data or the data in short-term rental until 2 years ago. Is when I actually started to track it, which is a lesson for those of you guys that are looking to get into this industry or any business. Is that you really should. Give me one quick second. Let me see something. Lorena, are we live on Instagram? Say yes or no. Because if we're not, I gotta. Yes. Okay. All right, guys. Those of you guys that are watching on either Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, welcome. Love you guys. If you have any questions, list them below. Lorena will be on to forward those questions if they come up. In fact, I'll bring them up here or comments. I'm sorry. I'll bring them up here. Sure. If you have any questions, just ask as we go along. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for give me a little bit part of your Sunday morning. So let me do one more thing before I continue. I'm trying to get this thing situated here because for some reason I am not seeing some of the messages that are coming in. All right, I can't do that because all right. Anyway, um, where was I? Okay, so and you're going to see some of the numbers when I go through the analytics of of the full year of 2024. Now, in the analytics, like I mentioned, you're going to see that there's going to be some increases, but they're artificial because, like I said, I haven't been keeping track. And as a business owner, if you're starting a business, don't make the mistake I did. Start keeping your numbers, start analyzing your business on a monthly basis, but more importantly on a yearly basis, so you can recap and make adjustments, make pivots as you see fit. Right now, 2024, even though the management side, right, and the sales side, the investing side wasn't as great as other years, we still did a bunch of different things. And here's one of the things that we did. And I talked about this multiple times, but if this is the first time you're listening, one of the things that I highly recommend you do as a business owner, once you are established, once you have everything that you need, your processes, your staffing, everything is established, everything's going well, is to go vertical. Every company's doing this. Everybody's taking the lead from Jeff Bezos and Amazon. Amazon has gone vertical. If you follow the show and last week's live STR News, I talked about how Airbnb and Uber are trying to go vertical and adding pillars to their core business. Well, we've done the same. So, a couple of things that we've done, a couple of big things that we did in 2024. One of the big things we did in 2024 was, like shift from residential investment to more of a the commercial side, meaning buying not large buildings, but buildings that are 20 units or lower and converting those into short-term rental. We did those in Colombia, and investing in what we're referring to as couple resorts. Right. I met Doug from Timbercraft Tiny Homes. Um, he built a beautiful resort in Gunter, Alabama. We are copying that sort of because I'm doing something a little bit different, and I'm going to go into that in a little bit. But we're buying land and we're creating these resorts. And one of the reasons why we're doing all these things and shying away from residential is because we have a lot of residential units. It's like if you follow the show, under management, either managing, co-hosting, or marketing, we have over 3,200 properties worldwide, but specifically in the U.S., Colombia, and Spain and Portugal. So I'm not really looking to grow that side of the portfolio. Plus, that takes a lot of time and effort. And although we've done a good job systematizing our processes and procedures and taking advantage of technology to allow us to handle this volume without having a huge staff, I still see that as not the way to go in the future, specifically because we're seeing so many issues that I've talked about in other shows in terms of regulation, right? I've already mentioned Paris, Barcelona, Madrid, New York City, although New York City is going to revert back to allowing or reducing some of the regulations or loosening the regulations in short-term rentals because they realized that was a mistake. And I'm not going to go down that road today because I have a lot to cover. But because of the issues in terms of regulations, I don't see see uh, the need to continue to invest in residential properties to convert them to short-term rentals. We want to do bigger projects and projects in which we don't have to fall into the trap of cities deciding to heavily restrict short-term rentals in residential areas, right? So that's where we're moving on. I'm going to show you some of the stuff that we've done there. Um, we so that's one component. The next thing we did in 2024 was we partnered and I purchased the travel agency, right, which is Dream Vacations. That's one of the verticals that I added to my business. Why did I do that? Right? Here's why I did that. And you're going to see this more and more. And I'm actually going to talk about it. And I've talked about it in prior news shows. And that is being able to control the guest experience from A through Z, right? In addition, it allows us to give our guests a more customized and personalized experience. Airbnb, which is by far the number one or the biggest powerhouse in this industry, they did that. That came out in the winter release. I mentioned that in the winter release as to how they're doing more of a personalized travel, travel itinerary, and we're doing the same. And by having a travel agency, when someone wants to book with us, now we have the ability to get them their plane tickets, get them their car rental, get them their excursions, right? If they want to go on a cruise and stay in one of our properties, we can add that. The idea here is that once we get that customer, we can be their one-stop shop. So by adding Dream Vacations to our vertical, it's going to, at least that's the goal. It's going to be able to not only increase our customer base, but really give that customer a personalized guest experience that's second to none. So that's the second thing that we did in 2024 that was a big step for us. The last thing we did in 2024 was bring in-house our marketing team, specifically our digital marketing team, right? Myself and Lorena Martinez created the Dream Media team, which is a digital marketing agency. Although we're offering that service to other short-term rental operators or anyone in the travel industry, including realtors, right? Because we consider realtors part of our group because realtors will find us the properties that we can buy and convert those to short-term rentals. So we're including realtors there. So by bringing the digital marketing team in-house, again, it gives us as a company two very important things. Number one, control the agenda, control how we market. And then number two, really target. And again, the idea is always, we always look at it from the lens of our customer, right? Our avatar, our guests, by giving the guests specific marketing or market these guests specifically as it relates to our industry, which is the travel industry. So everything that comes out of my social media, and again, if you're not following me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, people, because I do a lot on Instagram. Now, we're all over. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. Some of you guys are watching us today on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. And we also have our own website. But that is extremely important as to why we're doing. So let me share my screen because I want to add to the Dream Media team so you can get an idea of what we have to offer. So give me a quick second. Let me share my screen. So here's a quick or sneak peek at our website and what some of the stuff that we have to offer. So for example, if you're looking for a social media team or a digital marketer and you want to give us a look, just go to our website, fill this out. We're going to give you a free social media analysis. In addition to that, though, we're also going to create two videos for you so you can see the quality of your work. You can post them on your social media and see what type of response you get. So we're going to do that for anyone that is looking or wants to learn more about us. But this is our website. We have three packages: our standard package, our advanced package, and our pro package. You can read there for the details. I'm not going to go into it right now, but I just wanted to show you that. But this is one of the verticals that we added. And I said that was the last thing, but I forgot one very important thing that we did in 2024. And you guys probably already noticed it. Let me stop sharing my screen here real quick, though. Is our branding. We are rebranding the company, and as you can see from the shirt, we are Dream Vacations and Rentals by PMI. That's going to be our new brand. Now we're our again, the core, the hub, the mothership is still going to be PMI Premium Services. That is my core business. But in terms of going vertical, and because we added, the vacation component, we added the media component, we decided to rebrand, and I love the name. And again, thanks to Lorena, she helped with the logo. But this is our new brand. You're going to start to, you probably already noticed it because we've been we did soft launches. We put it all over the place. But in 2025, we're going to rebrand all of our properties. So if you ever stay in one of our properties, you're going to now see that Dream Media logo. So that is the last big thing we did in 2024. Now, the other thing in 2024, let's talk about what we did in 2024. 2024, our consulting business, which is one of the verticals that we added back in 2023, really took off and really helped out overall in the business, right? As I've already talked about, we did okay in terms of our bookings, in terms of our reservations, but we did not increase our revenue in 2024 that we did in 2023, right? The revenue is pretty much the same, like I mentioned, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But what we did increase revenue overall from our holding company. Now, again, if you're not aware, I have a holding company, and within that holding company, we have multiple business, but all funnel into our core business, right? We have the sales department where we sell properties. So if you're looking to buy a short-term rental, you're looking to invest in real estate, we have a department in there. We have a landscaping department. We have a pest control department. We have pool cleaning, the marketing team. So these are all verticals, right? But in addition to that vertical, I have a consulting business in which I get hired to consult people, either people that are looking to either start a management company or get into the short-term rental business. Or if you're already in the business, we help you optimize that business and help you optimize your short-term rental the overall performance of your short-term rental. Now that component really grew in 2025, hence why I traveled so much. So just to give you an idea, in 2024, I was all over Europe. So Amsterdam, I'm not going to go through all the cities, but we went all over Europe. We went all over South America and all over in the US. Now, that component, again, if you're running a short-term rental management business, if you're looking to invest in it, or you want to simply have a call with us, then just DM me or reach out to me. My information is going to be at the bottom of this, and then we can have that conversation. Having said that, I get a lot of people that call me and ask me how they can support the channel. There's a lot of ways to support us as a company and specifically the channel. One is you can buy me a coffee, and if you want to have a conversation with me, we can do that. Number two, you can Zelle me, you can Venmo me. But the number one way that I always tell people, because it's the easiest way to support us, is by liking, sharing, subscribing, and following. Easy to do, doesn't cost you anything. If you do that in 2025, we're going, us as a company will greatly grow even more because we have grown to where we are today as a result of our social media footprint. If you're in business and you don't have a social media footprint, or you haven't taken social media seriously, take it from me, from experience, I would not be in the position I am if it wasn't for social media. We get the majority of our leads through social media. Now, I'm not going to go into all that yet because that's a subject for another video. But let me just look at my notes. Oh, like I mentioned, in 2024, our goal was no longer to go residential. So I'm going to give you a couple of things that we did in 2024. So, for example, as I mentioned, we got that 30 unit building that we converted into a short term rental. That was in Colombia and Bogota. We partnered, or we're in the process of trying to do some big things with Tiny Timbercraft. Um, the, the resorts that I just mentioned, we did that locally here in South Florida. We got a 4-unit building that we dubbed Tropical Breeze. That got converted into a short-term rental. So there was a lot of that type of activities in 2024 that we moved on, and hopefully we'll see the fruits of that labor in 2025. Now, let's go into the analytics. I'm going to go into that right now. So let me share my screen. All right, so here's the full year in terms of revenue. Now, keep in mind, this is just the rental revenue. We have revenues coming from all different ways, but these are the numbers just for rental revenue. And this is why I say that the numbers are kind of skewed. In terms of rental revenue, we did go up 37.9%. So in terms of just revenue, we were over a little over $2 million in gross revenue, which is a 37% increase. We had a 14,000 reservations or bookings, which is a 49% increase in 2024. Our occupancy rate was at 64. Now, this is another misnomer. Occupancy rate is 64, which is showing a 48.7% increase. But that's just a little misleading. This is why I tell people, when you look at numbers, make sure you understand what you're looking at, right? It's at 64%. Now, if you follow me, you know that my goal is always to be between 75 and 85% occupancy rates. And the number here is showing more in terms of occupancy or higher. But the issue is we added so many units, right? And a lot of the units, and we added a lot of these units in the mid-year, right? So the ones in Q1 and Q2 are not part of this. So we're seeing an increase, but there really wasn't this type of increase. Like if I would have kept just the units that I had in 2023, you're not going to see this increase in occupancy rates. In fact, the increase would have been negative. Just like if you look at the average daily rate, this is where you can see what I'm talking about. And the average daily rate, we saw a decline of 7.9%. At 147, that's a 7.9% decrease. But that's because we had so many added units, and those units weren't, even though we added them, they weren't occupied. If you're not familiar with the short-term rental industry, when you put a unit up, it takes a little bit to get going. So the occupancy rates are going to be a little lower. The RevPAR and the average daily rates are going to be a little lower because you're trying to get that property up and going. And that's what happened here. So it's a little misleading because we really weren't up in terms of occupancy rates. We're actually negative, and you saw that in the average daily rate there. Now, here's the in terms of the sources. We got in Airbnb alone, we brought in $1.12 million in revenue from Airbnb. Our platform, we brought in 359,000 or a little over that, which is the second. We're the second generating revenue source for my rental business, right? And as I mentioned before, my goal is to be number one. Uh, but very difficult to beat Airbnb. They have bigger pockets, meaning deeper pockets. They have more money than I do. They can advertise more than I do. They have so many other ways in which to generate revenue and bookings. And love them or hate them, they are a big part of the short-term rental industry. Um, I have a true love-hate relationship with them, but I am going to year over year continue to strive and work on building my direct booking so that I have full control. I don't want to be relying on these other platforms. But next is booking, a little over 300,000. Verbal is 144,000, and other platforms are 133,000. So just to give you an idea, in terms of these booking sources, Airbnb, again, depending on your region, because if you're in Europe, these numbers are not going to look the same. Booking is number one in Europe, but if you're in the US, Airbnb is going to be your number one platform. So learn to work with them. Be very cautious when you work with them. Make sure you are dotting your I's and crossing your T's. I just had an example of that. We had a guest stay in one of our properties, stayed there. It was a 5-day reservation. They stayed there for 4 days, and then they complained that they're allergic to pets, and there was a pet dander on the property, which, unfortunately for them, that property we don't allow pets in that property. So I knew right off the bat that was a lie, but I had to fight Airbnb because Airbnb wanted to give them a refund. So I had to show them through video, through our listing, that it's not a pet friendly listing. We show them videos that there's no dogs going in or no cats going in. So we were able to reverse their decision to give them a refund. But again, love or hate Airbnb, they're here to stay. I don't think they're going away anytime soon. So, be cautious when you work with them, but you have to work with them. All right, let's move on. Let me stop sharing my screen. All right, so that's our business as a whole. I mean, in 2025, I'm really looking to double down in the glamping and resort business. We just came back from Colombia, a beautiful small town called Buga, which is like an hour away from Cali, Colombia. You're going to start to see some of these videos that we did there coming shortly in my social media. Man, we fell in love with this. It's called the Echo Hotel Hacienda Diamond Resort. They have a tree house. They have these beautiful small cabins. Beautiful place. But we're looking to partner with them, and that model is what I'm building in Georgia. So we're going to have a geodome in Georgia. We're going to have a cottage in Georgia. We're going to have a tree house. I'm converting the barn into a living space. And that's coming shortly. Again, follow me on social media for that. Now, let's go over some news, right? Let's go over some news that you guys need to be aware of going into 2025. Let's see, where is the news? Let's go back to the news. All right, if you are looking to travel, right, specifically, and I've talked about this before, if you're looking to travel to England or London, you're looking to go in the East, get ready to start filling out your ETA, which is your European Travel Notice. I forget what it stands for, but you know you're no longer going to, if you're flying from the US, you're no longer going to be able to just fly and show up, right? You're going to have to fill out this form. I haven't seen it yet. Every year for the past 2 years, I've been talking about this. Now they're saying they're going to officially do it, but I know for sure London already advertised that it's going to be required to, you're going to be required to do it in London. I'm actually looking through my notes to give you the exact date. Hey man, but for some reason, I don't see it in my notes to give you the exact date. Give me one quick second and see if I can find it. Anyway, you can Google it, but the point here is, if you're looking to travel to Europe, you're gonna be required to do a second step, right? Now, let's talk about airfare trends, my beautiful people. 2025 domestically, in some places of the world, you're going to pay more. Right? It seems like every year, uh, travel increases, or the cost of travel increases. So, US flights, it is estimated to see a 3.4% increase. If you're flying to some international places like London, like Australia. So, for example, I just mentioned London, I mentioned Dubai. They're looking at a 7% increase to travel, specifically Dubai. You're going to pay a lot more to go to Dubai. But the biggest increase is going to be for Australia. So just, I love Australia. I personally haven't been there in a long time because it's way too far for me. But you know, they're seeing some huge inflation in Australia, and as a result of that, you're going to see between a 12 and 14% higher cost to travel to Australia. I personally am forgetting about Australia, but understand that you're going to be paying a lot to go there. But that's, it's not all going to be bad, because I'm going to give you some cheap domestic flights. I'm also going to give you some information and some travel tips now on how to travel internationally and where to travel internationally from, where you're going to save. So I'm going to give you some right off the bat. So, for example, if you're anyone looking to come to Florida, specifically Orlando, the average ticket price is going to be about $150, which is very, very good. Now, when to travel, right? Here's when to travel, people. It's going to be now coming up in the spring, but specifically January. Forget when spring break comes, but January is going to be a good time, and most of February. You're going to see fewer crowds, fewer rates all across the board in short-term rentals, hotels, car rentals across the board. You're going to see that, but in 2025, specifically, I would travel in September, October, November. There, you're going to see some big discounted tickets, and even the theme parks are going to see discounted tickets, specifically if you buy them in advance. Again, if you reach out to us, we will create an entire package for you. We call it the Disney package, where we're going to get you those discounted park tickets, discounted airfare, and more importantly, your accommodations. Most people spend most of their money on the accommodations. So we're going to be able to do that. Another great place to go to, where you're going to find some cheap fares domestically, is going to be Denver, Colorado. The average price will be about $160 round trip. And then the best time to go there is going to be in March for ski season, or late summer for hiking. Now, consider flying into some of the smaller airports like Colorado Springs. Now, if you follow the channel, I've said this a lot, and we're going to talk a little bit about this. Most people don't understand that you can get really cheap airfare if you don't fly into the major hubs. I'm going to use Europe for an example. If you're going to Europe, a lot of and I'm going to give you some examples in a second. If you go to Europe, you can find discounted tickets in some not as popular hubs, with the exception of Madrid. Madrid, for some reason, almost always has the cheapest airfare going in, whether it's economy, premium, or business, but more importantly, business, right? Madrid, for the most part, uh, and don't ask me why, because I have no idea, because it is a major hub. You can find really cheap tickets. And then once you're there, it's really cheap to move around and travel. So if you need to go, for example, Paris, man, fly to Madrid, spend a day in Madrid, enjoy that beautiful city, and then either hop on a train or hop on a local flight to Paris. Like we've done that multiple times. Flew business class to Madrid, spent the day, then we bought a 49-euro ticket to go to wherever destination I was going to. Very easy to do. Now, let's continue some of these destinations. Las Vegas, Nevada, $170. Best time to go is December, January for the cheapest flights and hotels. There's also a lot of, and I recommend you use some of the cash apps for hotels and airfares because you can bundle some of this stuff. Austin, Texas, $180. One of these, and the time to travel there is going to be between the March, and I don't know what this means, but it's going to be uh, March, April, May, and then in October when the cooler months are there. Um, and then the days to travel there, it's going to be midweek if you want to save on both accommodations and flights. Austin, during the weekend is insane going to Austin, right? Everything goes up in the weekends. Austin has a lot of events. Most of them happen on the weekend. So if you want to save on an accommodation and or on a flight, just travel during the week if you can. I know some people can't. Nashville, $190. Great time to go to Nashville. And best time to go there will be April and May for the music festival or early fall. And again, you can find a lot of discounts on some of their attractions if you book through some of the platforms like Viator. Use an agency or a company like us. You can get some of these accommodations. Now, for me, again, don't judge me. Um, I like to travel more on the business side, and I like to look for luxury travel, but at a discount, right? Here's some of the popular spots. I've already talked about them. Paris, London, Miami. They're all going to, you're all going to see some type of discount if you travel to these places, but it's going to depend when you travel. Now, you heard me talk about this before, and I talked about it last week. There's what's trending, becoming extremely popular within the industry overall is what's referred to as personalized travel. So, what's personalized travel? Airbnb is doing it. Uber is going to start to do it. The airlines are doing it. We've been doing it. Personalized travel is the following: is when you go to a specific platform and you work with that platform to create an itinerary for you that's all encompasses, meaning they're going to do everything: book your flights, they're going to book your accommodations, they're going to book your experiences. All that's going to happen in one spot. Today, you can also do that through AI, right? AI, there's a lot of AI platforms out there that are price driven. I'm going to when on the next digest, which will be in the beginning of the year, because this is the last live broadcast. I'm going to gather all the most popular, most reliable platforms that you can download on your phone, and those platforms you can set. Let's say you want to go to Paris in May. You can set, hey, I want to go to Paris in May. I want to spend this amount of time, and that platform will look for the cheapest flight, the cheapest accommodations, and the cheapest experiences, and create an itinerary for you. It is awesome, people. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to talk about that. There's also some clubs you can join, like the Dollar Flight Club. Um, but um, you know, only do that if you travel often, like I do, because they're only worth it if you actually travel. On the personalized side as well, airlines are starting to do that. Airlines are also really pushing for to the luxury side. So, for example, in 2025, JetBlue is going to release what's referred to as the mini mint. So they're going to for the first time in some selective routes, you're going to be able to buy business or first class tickets. Up till today, you can't do that unless you're going international with JetBlue. But you're going to see a lot of these budget airlines start offering business class tickets, right? And they're teaming up with these airlines that are building these nice lounges in the airports. So, for example, going using JetBlue as an example, if you haven't been to Boston Logan International, uh, to their JetBlue terminal, I highly recommend you do. They did a phenomenal job there. Now they have a lounge that will open in 2025. I had the privilege to get a sneak peek of that lounge. People, it is phenomenal. But even now, their terminal there in general is phenomenal. It's really well done, comfortable seating, nice eating areas. They have, I mean, it's gorgeous, people. But you're going to start to see that all the way around. Very it's interesting concept for 2025. But as I've already mentioned, there's these airlines are spending all this money, but they expect you to pay the money. That's why you're going to see some of these increases. Now, uh, the next top emerging destinations internationally, and I talked about this before, which is the travel industry is really trying to uh, um, diversify, but more, what was the word that I used before? They're trying to spread the wealth. I can't think of the word, but it's going to be more like an equity play with all these other emerging destinations outside of the current big hubs, right? Outside of Paris, outside of Rome, outside of Madrid, travel agency, and even these countries are the over tourism in these areas have become a problem. They want to diversify. So some emerging areas that I'm going to talk about and to look out for. So in Portugal, for example, Madeira, I highly recommend if you haven't been to that island that you visit that island. It is beautiful. It's the home of probably one of the greatest soccer players on the planet. Uh, so it's a great place to go. Very inexpensive, easy to get to. Highly recommend it. Sofia, Bulgaria. Now, I went to Bulgaria 2 years ago. It is a beautiful country, but specifically Sofia. That you guys, you got to visit that. But that's just two examples of many that you're going to start to see in the future as to areas that we're trying to get people to go visit. A prime example of what I'm referring to is Croatia. Croatia, 4 or 5 years ago, the travel industry was pushing for Croatia because it is a beautiful city, very inexpensive, something that you can visit uh, and get the same feel you would get like if you went to Italy, if you went to certain parts of Spain. Beautiful. But Croatia today now is known. A lot of people have visited. It's become popular now. But we want to do the same to some of these smaller spots. So hopefully you guys get a chance to do that. One of the things that I failed to mention on some of these AI tools is like currently today, and I've talked about this company before, is Hopper. Uh, Hopper is a great OTA online platform if you're looking for cheap airfares and cheap accommodations. I highly recommend you look at that. All right. I think that's going to be it. Let me just make sure I did not miss anything. Anyway, my beautiful people, uh, thank you for a phenomenal 2024. Um, Even though, like I said, we had a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles. I mean, my property in Georgia got hit twice by a hurricane. Uh, the industry in general, the short-term rental industry in general, saw a huge slowdown, but we're starting to see a pickup. But I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to wish you guys a happy holiday, a happy Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy New Year. I will see you guys in 2025. Continue to watch the channel because we're still broadcasting some podcasts with some phenomenal guests. Don't forget to subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. Love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.